Hey guys! Tonight, we begin with something truly dangerous. Getting dressed. Not skydiving. Not bear wrestling. Not eating gas station sushi at a truck stop. Just putting on clothes in Tudor England, where the wrong color of stocking could land you in front of a magistrate. That is right. Tonight, we are exploring the strange owl, paranoid, fabulously petty world of Tudor dress laws. A time when the government cared deeply, passionately, and legally about whether your neighbor was allowed to own a velvet hat. Before you get comfortable, I want to say a sincere thank you to whoever dropped this topic into the comments. These suggestions genuinely shape what we make here, and I would be lost without them. Now dim the lights, switch on a fan for that soft background. Get comfortable and try not to think too hard about your tax bracket. Let us pause for a second. Have you ever wondered what it felt like to live somewhere your outfit was a legal document? Could you go to jail for wearing the wrong shade of purple? Was there really a law about what hat you wore to church on Sunday? Could a stranger demand to see proof of your income just because your shirt looked a little too nice? And would you survive a single morning of getting dressed without committing roughly 4 felonies before breakfast? And now, congratulations! You have just woken up in the year 1574. You have a closet full of clothes, a head full of ambition, and absolutely no legal right to wear most of what you own. Good luck. So, here you are, blinking awake in Tudor England, and before you have even found your other shoe, you have broken the law. Not by doing anything, just by existing near fabric. You cannot afford the legal right to wear. Welcome to the world of the statutes of apparel, a sprawling rulebook that decided exactly what every single person in the kingdom is allowed to put on their body, right down to the trim on your sleeves. This was not fashion advice, it was legislation. Parliament and the Crown sat down on purpose and wrote actual laws about velvet. And you, my friend, are about to spend your entire day tiptoeing through a minefield made entirely of cloth. Let us get a sense of just how thorough this was. These were not vague suggestions scribbled on a tavern wall. They were detailed, layered statutes and royal proclamations reissued again and again across the century because people kept ignoring them. Henry V alone fired up 5 separate proclamations on what his subjects could wear. His daughter Elizabeth, never one to be outdone, managed 12. That is 12 official government announcements about the deeply pressing national crisis of people wearing nicer shirts than they were entitled to, and the rules reached everywhere. They did not just cover the obvious luxuries, like crowns and royal robes. They reached into the closets of dukes, knights, gentlemen, merchants, farmers, and servants, assigning each rank its own permitted fabrics, colors, furs, and decorations like a vast, joyless seating chart. There was a correct outfit for an ear and a correct outfit for a yeoman, and the gap between them was patrolled with a seriousness most societies reserve for, say, weapons or taxes. Picture your morning. You reach for a shirt and a little voice in the back of your head. The voice of a society that has fully lost the plot asks, but are you legally permitted to enjoy that texture? You consider a splash of color and immediately have to run a quick mental audit of your annual income. You think about a bit of fur to keep warm, and you realize you must first determine which animals your social rank is allowed to wear. Getting dressed has become a compliance exercise. You're not picking an outfit. You are filing paperwork with your body. The truly maddening part is that the clothes themselves were not the point. The fabric did not care who wore it. A length of silk is just a length of silk. It does not check your bank balance before it touches your skin. No, the point was control. The point was that the people in charge were deeply, profoundly anxious about a world in which you could not tell a person's worth just by squinting at them across the street. So, they tried to solve a social problem with a wardrobe. And here is the thing you will learn very quickly today. Nearly everything you might actually want to wear is spoken for. The good colors, the soft fabrics, the warm furs, the shiny bits, claimed, ranked, and locked behind a wall of statute. What is left for you is a narrow little menu of approved, sensible, unmistakably, middling cloth designed to make sure no one ever mistakes you for someone important. So, take a breath. Stand in your cold one-room home and accept your situation. You live in a kingdom where your outfit is evidence, your neighbors are witnesses, and your tailor is essentially an unlicensed accomplice. Before you can get dressed, you really ought to understand why anyone thought this was a good idea. So, let us talk about the grand paranoid logic behind it all. Let us talk about why any of this existed, because at first it sounds completely unhinged. The whole point was something the Tudors were obsessed with: legibility. They wanted to look at a stranger across a muddy street and instantly know their exact rank, like scanning a barcode made of fabric. Your clothes were not supposed to express you. They were supposed to file you. A duke looked like a duke. A yeoman looked like a yeoman. And heaven help the man who looked richer than he was legally permitted to be in a society terrified of people climbing above their station. Your outfit was basically a name tag that said, "Hello, my social standing is," and lying on it was a crime. To understand the panic, you have to understand the world it lived in. Tudor society imagined itself as a tidy ladder with God at the top, then the monarch, then the nobility, the gentry, and on down to the laborers in the mud. Everyone had a wrong, and the comforting fiction was that everyone stayed on it. Your clothes were how that ladder was made visible. They were the public proof that the system was working, that everyone knew their place and was politely standing in it. Now, imagine the horror then of meeting a man on the road in a fine silk doublet and a dashing fur, and not knowing whether to bow or to ignore him. Is he a lord? A wealthy merchant pretending to be a lord? A con artist in a borrowed cloak? In a world without photographs, without identification, without any way to look someone up, your clothing did the work that an entire bureaucracy does today. You were your outfit, and if your outfit lied, the whole comforting machine of knowing your place began to grind. That is the real fear humming underneath every one of these laws. It was not really about taste, and it certainly was not about helping anyone dress nicely. It was about keeping the categories clean. The nobility wanted to be instantly recognizable as nobility, and they wanted the people below them to be just as instantly recognizable as below them. Clothing was a fence, and the laws were there to stop you climbing over it in a nice jacket. Think about how exhausting this makes ordinary life. Today, you can glance at a stranger, and you simply do not know if they are rich, broke, or somewhere in between. And crucially, you do not have to care. In Tudor England, you were expected to read every person you passed like a receipt.